candidate. Those are rare breeds in Singapore politics, and they never ever win. So what makes this candidate different? We'll find out tonight. So welcome everyone. I believe this is episode 113 of Teh Tarik with Walid, and I will be having with me an independent candidate. He has declared his candidacy for Mountbatten SMC. Hi Jeremy.
Hi, Walid. Thanks
You
for
can
having
hear
me.
me well?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay, all right. So, Jeremy, thank you for doing this. So, firstly, why are we here, Jeremy?
Why are we here? I think, to quote Professor Taking soon, a nation not bold is in decline. And I think we are at that stage. I think we are at a stage where we created certain policies with different assumptions in a different era altogether. Well intentioned, very, very good, worked for us for many years, but they are not really going to do the job going forward. And I'm talking about the HDB and the CPF as a system, because that system was built on the basis of collecting incomes for 30 years and that people die at 60 years old, right? Those two assumptions are gone. So why are we here is because I want to be a candidate that I actually consider that in this era of an unwinding global order, with the US actually looking to unwind all of the conditions that they themselves set up, the WTO and all that, we must look to see if we can be independent in the way we formulate policy, independent in the way we treat, geopolitical forces that we have no control over whatsoever.
You don't
So
think we are independent now in the way
I
we do?
think because of our very unique position as an entrepreneur hub, and also with a financial system that sees, well, I think we're like right now we're the fourth largest financial system, financial hub in the world. I think that we are really price takers on whatever the US dollar chooses to do, right? And that is really a problem. That problem is because if the administrations change, like we just saw, Joe Biden's administration really create 80% of all American dollars out of thin air within the last 5 years. That is essentially creating a situation whereby 60% of all purchasing power is gone after every 17 years, right? So every time Singapore wants to fight inflation, we have to consider our position in the world where that particular system that we are dealing with, we are intricately tied with the US dollar in terms of trade and purchasing our food, and we are tied with China because of all their energy flowing through our
What's the
port terminal.
alternative, Jeremy?
The alternative is that we really need to consider our local dependency on US dollars and for foreign trade in terms of depending on it for our retirement and depending on it for income. So let me explain. So on my side, I think I've been chastised quite a bit on Reddit, on Hardware Zone. I've replied every single one that has bothered me a comment. So if for the viewers, feel free to go and take a look at whatever I say. But the actual thing that we need to consider in Singapore, the alternative is we need to end the HDB as a retirement asset. And why is it so? Because our entire system is purely based, or rather built upon, the fact that the HDB sets the anchor price for Singaporeans to live in. What is considered a public good, we shouldn't have a land cost. So I put this very clearly on my website. Why is it so? Because when you put a land cost to it, you anchor all further pricing of land for 99 years, for freehold, all over Singapore. And that's a problem, right? Because then the government decides where you stand at the start of your life. So the floor pricing essentially tells you the HDB asset, the HDB is your retirement asset. No, that is the thing that we need to kill off. It's a mistake that Mountbatten and Goh Chok Tong made that we really need to go and get rid
Okay.
of.
So,
Yeah.
so I do want to discuss the HDB. Thank you. And it's great that you jump straight away into policy, right? So you're a
Okay, yeah,
policy
sorry.
focused. No, it's fine. And I have to say, for an independent candidate, I've gone through your policy proposals. They look pretty solid. So I do want to
Thank you.
explore them a little bit and maybe question you a little bit on that. But
Sure.
good on you for doing that. But before that, maybe you let my audience get to know you first. So who
Ah.
are you? Like out of the blue, suddenly out of nowhere. So tell us
Uh,
a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so basically, I was, back then, when I was in uni, I actually started. I think right after JC, I just saw the great financial crisis, so I had the opportunity to read up a little investments, did some
2008, you mean? The 2008
about
crisis?
2020 on, yeah, after that. So I was in NS right after the GFC, and then I saw Warren Buffett decide to put in money into the entire crash. So I thought, okay, I'm not smarter than this guy, so let me try and invest my money. I invested in Tesla, and I was, I think, around 100 or 70 to 100, and I had basically an opportunity to do this because when I was younger, I coached debate. I fixed computers for $50 a pop, and then I went on to take that money to invest in Tesla. So, and obviously, I thought I was very smart when I sold it for $200+. Then, if I kept the same amount today, it's worth a few million. Never mind.
Wow.
So lucky, very lucky. But I also discovered Bitcoin at the time because from the ashes of the post GFC world, I think people started to realize that the fiat printing never ends. I think that people start to realize that US irresponsibility is not going to change from administration to administration. So I had an opportunity to buy some, but along the way, I actually started a business, a skincare distribution business when I was in, I think around year 2 in university. So while I was still doing university, while doing my internship program, actually started a business. Things took off and I distributed more and more, and I sold my business in 2020 to 2021 to Unilever because they rolled up the parent company. Yeah,
So,
so
so you the so
yeah.
the conclusion is you're really rich.
No,
That's
no,
what you
no,
mean.
no, 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 no. I think if you look at the SMC that I'm going for, right? I think they are really rich. I think they Mountbatten, I think is second in terms of the proportion of private property owners. I think it's only like something like 20 to 15% HDB dwellers. So Mountbatten has a constituency whereby the voters had the least exposure and the least risk to PAP failure because they're rich, they have mobility, right?
Right. So, do you
Right.
think that will benefit you?
I
The
honestly think that, in a very morbid way, the policies that I advocate for affect them the least, but they will be able to help Singapore. And I say this because I hope all your audience and people who watch and other people that come across my candidacy would actually look at the contributions I have and I look at every policy, right? So I think that you'll be getting a candidate that sees all the merits and flaws of the ruling party. And I think that, you know what, the people of Mountbatten are rich, highly educated, they can see the world change.
sixty
Um,
percent live in a condo, you know.
oh, you just checked it out, lah, right?
Yeah, 60% in condo, landed
Yeah.
property is about 10%. So that's 70+%.
Yeah. And I mean, if you really look at, so why do I consider Mountbatten, right? So I don't think our current generation of our younger generation these days will be able to ever afford freehold property like the residents of Mountbatten can.
100%. Like, I think
Uh,
landed property is gone for most people already.
yeah, and the landed
Unless you
property,
inherit it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And the landed property in Mountbatten isn't like your typical 1,009 square foot house. I mean, like you have Lakshmi Mittal having a house there. Okay, I won't say other names lah, but in order for me to go and throw a flyer for them to see that I'm a candidate, I need to knock on their gate, pass their lawn, then pass their porch, then I get to somebody. Yeah, so that's Mountbatten. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what do you do now? Now at this
Uh,
point in time?
I've been researching policy for 2 years now. I've been seriously considering running for about 2 years. I think since around 2023 August, I started thinking about this very seriously. So I did a lot of research. On my website, you can actually see one part called State of Government, where I list out all the things that the 14th Parliament is, statistically what they achieve, right? So your crime rate, your inflation rate, your economic policies, all of those things. So I listed all of that, and it took some time. I think I read the entire 14th Parliamentary Hansard. I've also spent a
Wow.
lot of time on Reddit. Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
So, and sorry, at this point in time,
Mm.
what is your occupation? You own a
No. At this point, I am just fully focused on this. Wanting to be a full-time MP. Yeah, I have no job whatsoever. After I sold my company, I didn't have a job. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Mm.
you for that, Jeremy. So,
Mm.
why independent candidate?
Yeah, I think when we were a nascent democracy, right, we needed a strong vision, iron fist to follow. I think the world has changed. My candidacy is about assessing status quo and keeping a pulse check on. Don't talk about mosquito parties lah. We talk about just the big three lah, right? SDP, PSP, and Workers' Party.
Arguably.
Yeah, right. So it is unlikely that the Workers' Party forms a ruling majority today, and it's unlikely that they contest every seat, right? So we're gonna have to deal with the realities that I think PSP gets what they deserve in the West. I won't contest the West because it's too far from me. I cannot be close enough to my residents to serve them well. I need to keep a keen eye on things that are basically in your surrounding environment. And the only way to do that is to really just stay around where you are running. And the Mountbatten SMC is the closest place that the closest place to me that I can run in, right? So for Workers' Party, okay. So the story is, I actually spoke to Pritam before. I said, Mr. Pritam Singh, he asked me, whether I went for a P volunteer session. So I said, I actually want to run as an independent candidate in Mountbatten, but I'm here at the volunteer session to see if I can change my mind. So Pritam Singh said, bro, nobody will change your mind. So then, okay lah, self-fulfilling prophecy lah, here I am. He didn't call me back for further volunteer sessions. And obviously, I respect the decision because he said, we just can't have people joining our party and running off to do what they want to
That's
do,
true.
right?
That is
Yeah lah,
true.
so
That's right.
no choice lah, right? So perfectly fine.
Have you approached SDP or PSP?
Yeah, because I don't think PSP wants to run in this area. They're very much in anchored there in the west, and I don't think if they were serious about running in this area, they would have at least sent a candidate for the last 3 elections. But it's always been Lim Tian and Lim Tian's voice party lah, right? People's
And
voice
you
party.
don't want to join. You don't want to join Lim Tian's party.
Yeah, I don't actually agree with many of the things he say, and I don't even know if he's fielding anybody. I just spoke to a Straits Times journalist. When she interviewed me, I asked her, who is running in this area from there? And she said, we checked with them, still don't know what's going on.
That's
Right?
what I wanted to ask you. Have you heard any murmurs who else is gonna run other than you and the PAP?
No, yeah. So Lim Tian said that he will contest everywhere, and then he said the PAR will come for this area as well. But I've not seen anybody. So
I
don't.
haven't. Actually, are there too many new candidates from Lim Tian's party? Also, I haven't seen
Oh yeah.
any, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah. Mm.
yeah.
To be
So
very honest,
I don't know whether, but there's a lot of noise now until nomination day because
yeah,
parties are playing poker. They're
yeah,
playing
yeah,
bluff. So I
yeah.
don't
So,
really take everything. So it could be strategic, but it could be that there isn't anyone also.
yeah,
So
okay.
So let's say there are three. It's a three-cornered fight, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's say Lim Tian's party send someone there. Then you're not gonna win, right? Independent candidates don't win, right?
Yeah, it's possible. But with the kind of policies that I'm suggesting, taking out HDB as a retirement asset and allowing people to buy Bitcoin with their CPF. Let's just say Bitcoin goes to 1 million in 2030. Let me tell you, I'll be back. People will be very irritated that I said certain things today, but I'll be back. But the reason why this is going to happen is because
So you're not
right?
thinking about 2025, only
Me,
2025,
I don't. I definitely don't. I definitely keep my hopes up, but I
right?
don't think that. I think that I need to lay the groundwork for all these
Right,
things.
right.
Lah,
Okay,
right?
that's good. So you're
Yeah.
in this for the long haul, basically,
Yes,
for you.
definitely. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Are you not scared of not having doors open to you? You contest against the PAP, but maybe contesting as an independent, maybe it's less taboo
Yeah, yeah.
than contesting as part of the opposition. Does that inform your decision as well?
I think like I don't worry about the doors being open to me or not. I just want to speak the truth to the policy. I don't really care if people disagree with me a lot on Reddit or Hot Zone, right? I just reply them directly. People email me, I reply them directly. Nothing to worry about debating this openly. And I encourage everybody, if you have something you want to mention, something you want to contribute, write it on Reddit, write it, I'm reading it every day, write it on Hot Zone or write it on my website even to contribute. Some people even wrote some contributions to me, right? And I'll say, yeah, let's put it out there. Let's go and debate this thing. Because what's the point? You say that, oh, I'm afraid I run against the PAP. I mean, the PAP knows everything there is to know about me, right? I mean, like, yeah,
I always
it's
assume that also, you know.
yeah,
Whatever I am, right? Whatever I do, the PAP knows already also. So,
yeah,
so
yeah. So what's the
yeah,
point?
yeah, yeah.
And you know something you said just now, right? You said, hey, you know, some parties playing, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
poker
playing
lah.
poker, yeah.
Yeah, that Worker Party haven't come out with their Workers Party manifesto, right? So, I mean, there's this quote on X lah. Signs of incompetence is indistinguishable from 5D chess. Everybody thinks they want to, you know, yeah, everybody thinks they are playing very cleverly,
Wait,
but I don't think so.
well,
I think
I need to press you a little bit on that. So, is Pritam playing 5D chess or being incompetent in your
no,
eyes?
I think he's being competent lah. He knows that he's done so much groundwork. That area needs groundwork. Mountbatten, what groundwork are you going to do? I mean, I will be trying to visit every home,
No,
right? I'll be doing,
not in Mountbatten, but Workers' Party in general.
yeah, I think that they are actually competent lah.
I agree. I think they have
Yeah,
some tricks up their sleeves.
yeah.
We just don't know what yet. But it's good on you. So
Mm,
I wanted to ask this
mm.
exact question that Vosaurus has asked. How's
Mm.
the response been like from the residents you have managed to speak to?
Very honestly, I think they say I raise good issues on the website, but they disagree with some policies of mine, me being like the primarily the Bitcoin one because they say it's risky and whatnot. So I totally acknowledge. I explain my position, and to explain my position, I say very clearly that look, there's a reason why people are starting to consider seriously what is our dependency on the US dollar and the US system. I mean, I tell them straight up that look, if you don't agree with me, that's fine, but we should at least consider why we put ourselves in a situation whereby we use the HDB as a retirement asset. It's a
Yeah, so
generational policy.
I can understand why your
Mm,
policy would speak to young people. So
mm,
100%. I think young
mm,
people would love that policy, right?
mm.
Why would it
Actually,
speak to rich people?
actually,
What?
the feedback I got right is young people right. They will say this to me. They'll say why I cannot afford to buy Bitcoin. So I say, yeah,
No,
I
not the
know.
Bitcoin, the HDB
Uh,
one.
okay,
So yeah.
yeah. So this is very important, right? Why would you ask why appeal to older people or young people?
Rich people, yeah, rich people.
These
Why
people,
why
yeah,
would they want? Why would they go on board with your policy if 70% live in condo or HDB, right? Or landed.
yeah, and that's why I talk about Bitcoin because that's their asset preservation for them,
Right, right.
right? If
Okay.
I throw in a policy whereby I say let's go and really consider removing the anchor price of HDB for all land, and they most likely to own 2, 3 properties one, right? They own commercial property, they own you know, they some of them are even HDB jump to condo, then jump to landed, and they still have both their old
Right.
properties, right? Yeah, so they look at wealth preservation, right? HDB has a least decay, right? 99 has least decay, right? And a lot of the new condos that launched in Mountbatten all have a problem because they are mostly 99. Okay, so they are paying very, very expensive prices, and it's because the baby boomers help their children with this particular down payment first. So what happens? Basically, every Singaporean is just trying to out compete each other out of fear. Most of the time, it's not because you believe that this two-bedder at 2.5 million or whatever is very good, right? I mean, it's crazy lah. Like the PSF, some of these things are like what 2008, 3000 PSF.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, as in
It's
like it's crazy.
unsustainable, this.
Yeah, yeah. So why would the rich people care? It's because firstly they can afford to care, right? The entire area is, I would say, very well maintained. Obviously, Mountbatten is by Marine Parade Town Council. The current the current incumbent Lim Beltran is the chairperson of the town council. So he signs off on the reports lah, right? It's good. The town council, he say it's good. He say it's good lah. But so far, Marine Parade, the town council report, everything is pretty well done lah, right? So that's very good. But I think based on the current rumors and the walkabouts, I think Mountbatten might not get him back because firstly, Lawrence Wong has indicated 3-term MPs. Actually, even some first-term MPs are out, right?
Yeah.
Correct, right? Yeah.
But that
So
must mean that they they perform poorly or something in the eyes of the PM,
maybe lah.
because that is quite unusual, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So then we might not be getting Lim Biao
Also, you
Chuan.
don't think Lim Biao Chuan is contesting that?
Yeah, based on what Lawrence Wong has said, right? Lim Biao Chuan is a three-term MP. He wants more women, right? And then refresh is required. And even some people like as what 40 something stepping down or 50 something are stepping down. Lim Biao Chuan will be turning 60, I think 60 something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a newbie to
Any
newbie fight.
indications who your opponent might be?
It will be Goh Soo Ki, the maritime lawyer.
Yeah, so I think that
Mm.
was what Straits Times
Yes,
right?
correct.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I saw that as
Mm.
well. Okay,
Mm.
so you don't think there will be a switcheroo?
I don't think that, but if you switch a rule to back, right, based on me, right, I don't think so.
Fair
I don't
enough, fair
think they're
enough.
taking me that seriously.
I
Yeah,
don't think there'll be a switch and based
yeah,
on an
yeah.
independent candidate. But don't you think? I mean, your ideas. I mean, a lot of it makes sense.
Mm.
Uh, but
Thank
the fact
you.
that you're an independent candidate does hurt you quite a bit, right?
I think that it's probably the best lah because we Singapore just needs candidates without party whips. Okay, let's be very fair. If the if the PAP shifts left, towards like how Workers' Party are right now, then the distinction between what is a Workers' Party candidate versus what a PAP candidate is starts to be blurred, right? And PSP is very nativist, so generally they concentrate around center, center right, center left, right? And
Where are you on the spectrum?
I would say I'm more pragmatic libertarian lah. Like step one to be libertarian, but actually realize we still have to depend on a lot of countries to trade through us lah.
Hmm.
That's how I see it lah. Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
you are libertarian. That's very interesting because I don't think there's a strong libertarian movement or tradition in Singapore, right? So
It's tough lah
that's
because everybody will say, oh, you libertarian ah. Or next thing what? Drugs cannabis
no, 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 no.
You know what I mean?
No. I don't say that because for me, just thinking politically is just because the state is everywhere and people are so reliant on the state, even for simple things,
Mm.
that they cannot imagine being a libertarian in Singapore,
Yeah.
And I actually, over the past few months, I have been quite
Mm.
impressed by libertarians in the States
Yes.
because they
Mm.
have really, and these are people who actually, a lot of them voted for Trump, but they have
Yeah.
been really super critical of Trump on Israel. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you know this movement, right? Dave Smith
Yeah. Dave
and those,
Smith.
yeah.
Yeah. Even
And they,
I think Jeffrey Sachs as well.
correct, Jeffrey Sachs
Mm.
as well,
Mm.
so who's world famous, right? Jeffrey
Mm.
Sachs.
Yeah.
And I think that has been pretty impressive because they are pretty principled. So you see yourself in that tradition as well?
I think it's more of to a Singaporean flavor lah, which is that wherever we can seek out freedoms, economic freedoms, we need to seek out. Because I think people need to stop thinking about the patriarchal system taking care of everything. And I see that is very important, right? Because incomes are going to be severely disrupted by AI. Like white collar jobs are essentially dead already. Now the next
Wait,
one is
sorry,
blue
you mean
collar.
the patriarchal or
The
paternalistic or yeah,
paternalistic,
the
very
state. Okay,
yeah,
got it,
yeah.
got it.
So
Yeah,
as in
but
like
it could
yeah,
be patriarchal as well.
yes. In a sense
Yeah.
that like you HDB is the floor price. We take your CPF so that you can afford HDB.
Right.
Okay, and then when the lease is up, okay, time to die, lease buyback. Right?
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So I get it that it being independent. So I just final word, as in final question on this. I get it. Being independent saves you from the party whip, but don't you think it tremendously decreases your chances of winning? And therefore, if you don't win, all your policies go to waste.
It's true, but right now, all of the Workers' Party policies and PSP, you don't know which one the PAP really already knew about it, right? So the debate is very helpful, but you cannot really assign credit to which party it
Right.
is.
So
Mm.
for you, it doesn't matter as long as the ideas are out there. Eventually, even if the PAP takes it up, you don't have to wait.
Yeah,
Your
it's
job.
okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Mm.
And I agree with you. By the way,
Mm,
I
mm, mm,
think
mm.
a politician's worth is more than just winning. I would
Correct,
say Chee
correct.
Soon Juan has never won, but he's affected Singapore politics in many ways, right?
And
Yeah.
even Chan Si Tong, right, ran
Sham Si
twice as
Tong,
an
yeah.
independent before starting SDP, right?
Yeah, so I think these are things which are
Mm,
worth discussing and worth thinking about. So I definitely agree. So
mm,
I want to get to the HDB, but
sure.
before that, can I ask Jeremy, how old are you?
35.
35.
Pritam Singh entered politics at 35, and then we have the Giga Chat Lee Kuan Yew who became PM at 35.
I just wanted to ask only. I think 35 is a good age. It's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
age
yeah,
to,
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Mm,
So, of all persons, I named Chi. Yeah, I think because Dr. Chi has affected Singapore politics. Whether it's for better or for worse, that's a different matter. As in, that's
mm,
a subjective thing. But I think his presence has affected.
mm.
I'm saying someone who didn't win but affected Singapore politics.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's why
that's
I
for sure.
think, without a doubt, that he has. So, Sweet Prince says, before we
Mm.
get to HDB, how are you going to appeal to Mountbatten voters?
Mm.
Anyone prominent whom you intend to invite to speak during your rally?
I have some ideas on the rally that I intend to conduct. I will not review it now, but
You're playing
I,
5D chess also.
yeah, yeah, 8D chess underwater, the board is, overturned also. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but yes, I
I,
understand that you cannot
yeah.
contest, as in you cannot reveal everything, but I appreciate. So there's
Mm,
this comment.
mm.
Uh, I feel independent candidates are politically fraudulent. Can you explain why, Cindy, that you believe independent candidates are fraudulent? I don't get it. I think until Cindy explains, I don't
Sure,
think
let's
you
go on.
need to respond to that,
Sure.
Jeremy, because
Mm.
I don't think there's anything fraudulent about being an independent candidate. I just think that it's much harder to win. That's all.
Yeah, it's very tough. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So HDB. So now,
Mm.
what would you suggest Lawrence Wong does? So now, no matter what he does, let's say he takes on your policy, then there will be a sizable amount of Singaporeans, which I agree.
Mm.
I agree personally that what
Mm.
you are saying is the right thing to do. But there's a sizable amount of Singaporeans who have already bought their houses. They
Mm,
will
yeah,
be really upset. They have spent hundreds of thousands on it. So
yeah.
yeah.
So the first thing is that what I mentioned on my policy is that we have to gradually do it so that we do not shock the market. And I think this sentiment is actually echoed by quite a lot of HDB scholars and academics, because you cannot shock the market, and you also need to increase the supply. You also need to build up HDB BTOs with 15-year MOPs, right? So then what happens is that generally the signal starts to become clear. Okay, the HDB is no longer going to be your retirement asset. We need to find a different way to have retirement assets, right? Why is this necessary at this point in time for Singapore in the world? Because we no longer have the grasp that incomes are going to look the same way as before, right? AI and robots are real, humanoids are real. We cannot think that we are going to be able to provide 30 years income for people and plan out HDB and CPF based on this. Because right now the HDB, essentially the next generation, you want to buy low, sell high, how to happen? Okay, next generation pay for you. But what if you live very long? What if everybody's incomes are stagnant? It is a fundamental crack in Singapore's policy that was created in 1990s, and now we are seeing the
Okay. So
full
what
effect. Mm,
what do they do? By the way, so I
mm,
I want to address that because you also said it's Go Chok Tong and Mountbatten, right? So
mm.
I want to address that. But there's a comment here by Cindy, so she didn't say that, and she's right. So I apologize. You didn't say that. It was Papa
Pokma,
Fizzy
Pokma,
Lumpkins
yeah,
who
Pokma.
said that independent candidates are politically fraudulent. So
Mm,
Papa, whatever, can you
mm,
explain what you mean by that? So I still want to ask you. So I agree with you, all of
mm.
that. So, but what can they do now?
They have to
Hasn't
really
that
say,
ship sailed already? That ship has sailed already, right?
no, that shit hasn't sailed. I don't think we should be defeatist in this. I think you can start to say that in addition to, I mean, definitely right, and we together PMO. In addition to all these new supply being built, HDB will firstly declare land costs, because that's how we know everybody has an open discussion, all opposition and the PAP. How can we know district to district the land cost for each thing? Then we can start to have an honest discussion where land costs should not be so high and should not be so low. Without that data, district to district, we don't know how to debate this, right? And everything is paid back to the reserves, which is basically saying, don't worry, trust me, bro, everything is good, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I again I do not disagree with you. I do not
Mm,
disagree with you.
mm.
But what about those who already have the houses,
They are going to have to accept that
right?
when they have children, their children are going to buy
Yeah,
cheaper
I
houses.
agree with you. So I again I also agree with you, but you
Mm.
also understand that this is politically costly, right? This is
Then it shows that I cannot be a populist candidate, right? I'm just
right. No,
looking at,
no. So I
yeah.
think this long term, I do think this is the way to go. But
Mm,
the government, the prime
mm,
minister has to make a huge decision. I think this is unsustainable. I mean, if it's not your solution, which I agree
mm,
with, there has to
mm,
be some other radical solution because yours is a huge radical solution, right? But we
mm,
need a solution of that sort. Otherwise, can you imagine like this house
mm.
I bought
Yeah,
390,000 6 years
yeah.
ago, now it's 800,000. I think when my son is buying, HDB will easily be $1 million. Like public
The
housing, a
one that I took
million
picture with.
dollars.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That
Yeah.
is madness. And it's not worth, this house is not worth $800,000. Right? So I mean, that is madness. So I think that something needs to give.
Yeah.
But at least you're honest. You are honest. You are saying that these people should take a hit. So you are not, I think you're not obfuscating.
Yeah.
Which is why also, unfortunately, Jeremy is the reason why I think you cannot win.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, no. I've been thinking about this for very long, right? And who
Yeah.
should take the hit, right? But how do we soften that blow? And how do we deal with the one thing that creates all these problems? Inflation. And that's when I realized that the very thing that I bought 13 years ago at $300 is now $85,000. That is Bitcoin. Why we need to think about this seriously is because what can we put our money into, right, that cannot be inflated away, printed away, and is durable, is guarded by energy, is guarded by miners, nodes. That is why I thought we need to be serious about telling people, educating people, don't pick the HDB as a retirement asset so people don't go and just, full portfolio into
So
housing.
Bitcoin should be the retirement asset.
Bitcoin should be an option for people to be a retirement asset. You don't want to use your CPF to invest in Bitcoin, that's up to you. You can buy Bitcoin yourself, you can put in how much you want. But the CPF itself is a paper dollar system. People ask me, why do you want people to use the government to guarantee the CPF investments into Bitcoin, right? Specifically, I said people who use their CPF, OA, and SA and invest in Bitcoin, that amount should be guaranteed at the OA and SA floor rates. People ask me, why you want to do this? I say, what is the promise? What is the guarantee and the backing of the CPF right now? It's really the government say, trust me, bro, right? That's
Yeah,
essentially
yeah,
what the
yeah.
CPF is, right?
Understood. So you are definitely against the government saying Singaporeans should stay away from investing in crypto, right?
No, not
Sun
crypto.
Xueling said that.
Everything is a shitcoin except Bitcoin. Everything is a shitcoin except Bitcoin.
Oh,
So
so for you only Bitcoin.
only Bitcoin. Everything else is a shitcoin. Not even Ethereum. Done all nothing. It's nonsense. Nonsense, right? You look at a country. Do you mind if I just take a quick minute to talk about a country like
Please
Bhutan?
carry on.
Okay, Bhutan has a huge. We are very similar in Bhutan, but also very different, right? No natural resources. They have hydropower. They import all food. We import all food. So what is it that Bhutan does with their hydropower? They mine Bitcoin, right? Even the PM of Bhutan says we use Bitcoin to pay for salaries. Why? Because they don't have natural trade flows up the mountains. Then people ask me, why are you proposing Bitcoin? You're a speculative gambler, you have self-interest. Firstly, I cannot move a 2 trillion market, okay? Secondly, are the Buddhists in Bhutan high up in the mountain gamblers, or are they looking at this as this is existential to us? We don't want to be dependent on USD trade flows or China, because then what happens to your geopolitical concerns? What happens is that you end up conceding, making a lot of concessions, and you end up eroding your sovereignty in terms of your trade policy, in terms of your border security and everything else. So that is actually, okay, there's a comment here, meme coin. Meme coins are crazy, please, just gambling. Please don't do that. Okay.
There's another comment here, Jeremy, but Bitcoin's value depends solely on people agreeing it has value.
Firstly, that is not true. Bitcoin is finite. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. It is not because the volatility is because of the US dollar, right? Then everybody that mines and creates a node for Bitcoin supports that they want to create an immutable ledger in which everybody participates in the integrity of this technology, right? Why? Because it's an idea. It's an idea that nobody should be good enough to erode your savings, your wealth. At the stroke of a pen, just print. At the stroke of a
Right. Fair
pen,
enough. Fair
yeah,
enough. Yeah.
yeah,
I think yeah, paper money, I mean fiat is like that, right? So
yeah.
we know that it's especially the US, it can just
Yeah.
print.
So if I were to encourage your viewers to see, this is a very good book, Paper Soldiers by Saleha Mohsin. It tells you about how the dollar is used to weaponize and change policies. I mean, we talk about inflation here all the time, right? Everybody is very, very serious about inflation in this particular GE, right? But why are we not talking about inflation-proof savings, right? Why are we not talking about it? Everybody wants to talk about inflation, cost of living, cost of living. But the HDB is 75 to 90% of net worth for most Singaporeans.
Yeah.
So we need to consider that actually you just owe the government your net worth and it goes back to the reserves,
Yeah,
right?
no, you're right. You're right. The way we count net worth, if it includes HDB, then for most people, it's not even paid yet. So,
Yeah.
so it doesn't make sense. You're absolutely right. So there's a nice comment here by Sweet
Mm,
Prince.
mm,
Jeremy, your ideas are ahead of the curve. Good to hear that you're doing
mm,
this for the long haul. Lose the
mm,
battle, win the war. So,
mm,
so I understand that and I appreciate and I thank you for that. That
mm.
you are here to put the ideas on the table, right? But
Yeah.
why contest in an election to do that? Why not be an activist and put these ideas seriously on the table?
I think the fact that you very helpfully give me exposure and other people give me exposure gives me a better chance to talk about this seriously. Without putting my money, where my mouth is, I don't think people will really take this issue seriously. The best way people know that I'm serious about this issue, I don't want Singaporeans to have this problem, right, is because um, I give you an example, okay? So other than putting my money where my mouth is for this particular issue, right? Like let's just say I talk about my parents, right? They have a flat that is past, I think already 66. They're in a 60-year mark, or maybe less than that, 50 something year mark. It says on the market that if they can sell it for 800,000 or so, but who will buy it? Because it's past the
Exactly.
50-year mark.
You're right.
Who will buy it?
100%.
So they have this idea that their retirement asset, right? I can do this, I can do that. But once you take out all the interest and all
Yeah.
the RA, everything, who will buy it? So for me, this is almost personal because I know there are folks out there that cannot retire because they entirely thought that the HDB is a retirement asset. So then they become dependent on the government later on. It's just centralized planning for your whole life. I don't think Singaporeans should think about their lives this way. They should think about their lives in an independent manner, and that is why I run as independent.
Okay.
Right?
So thank you. There are a
Mm.
few comments on the Bitcoin. Firstly, I'll take all three of them at the same time. Sylvia
Sure.
said, I don't understand why you want to die on the Bitcoin hill. Um, let
Mm-hmm.
me see just now. Shamir asked, are there not other commodities for which this finite amount argument holds? Why not those? So that's, I
Okay.
think, a valid
Mm.
comment. So another
Mm.
one, what happens if quantum computing makes a breakthrough? Crypto
Mm.
would be worthless.
Yeah, so the quantum computing argument has been heavily debunked because Bitcoin can be improved to include quantum resistant algorithms. And Grapher's algorithm is, I won't get into technical details here, but yeah, it, consensus can be made to ensure that the quantum upgrades to be quantum resistant will be effectively rendering this useless. And it's not good enough. Quantum computing speed itself is not good enough to break the network. So technical details, just go and ask
So
AI. AI has a
what
lot of
could
this.
break the network then?
What could break the network? So the question is really is a meteorite. A meteorite has the bomb Earth, then we restart the Bitcoin from space where we have a copy. And right now there's also a node in space. I think like in the ISS or what, running a whole copy of Bitcoin. So let's just say meteorite hit us. But if it comes down to guns and butter, then I think all your dollar also useless. I
Right,
don't know
right,
what
right,
to
right.
do.
In that instance, then no other currency would help
Yeah.
as well. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Then the last
the
one
earlier
was
point, Bashamir, the
yeah.
other commodities and why this hill over other hills.
Yeah, so the other commodities doesn't exist. Gold, if people someone go and the gold is the best. Let's just not make straw man's right? Gold's the one that everybody knows, right? You can discover gold, you can fake gold reserves. Like nobody in the world can tell the US, hey, please go and audit Fort Knox. They're like, don't want it? Why? And that's it lah. That's the end of argument. Right? And then the other point that actually on my website so I put that gold, the number of times people spoof the markets is quite scary lah. Traders spoof the price of gold everything. So the last one, why die on this hill? Why you want to die on this Bitcoin hill? You don't like Bitcoin, you just read the rest of the policies law, right? That you agree the rest of policies, then that's what I campaign for lah. But if you don't
Okay.
like Bitcoin, you don't buy lah,
All right.
right?
So
Yeah.
HDB, Bitcoin. What are your other big ideas?
Definitely CPF lah. It's the adjustment to CPF lah. It's all three of them working together. The big one is HDB and CPF, and then also the big one that I feel like is very important, and I want to discuss this for Singapore is because the reason why we have wealth inequality is because as children, you don't have compounded wealth. What happens is that the rich people can compound wealth for their children. So the poor people in Singapore, right? You give them all this bonus, all that what. Like I think this year, I think should be about $16,000 worth of freebies for children, okay, for new children, right? You give them all this, right? Sure spend. But what you need to give children, babies, is actual compounding that beats money supply growth in the world. Actual compounding that beats inflation. So we give them 10,000. I'm proposing, right, that you give them $10,000 in the baby Bitcoin fund account. Why? Because you want them to compound all the way, locked until it's 21, right? You lock it until you're 21, and then you can see that things compound. But Bitcoin doesn't compound because it's speculative. Bitcoin compounds because people want to save in durable, free of counterparty risk money, superior money. And that is what we need to think about here. And then, of course, the other policies on my website, you can see it's consumer, political, all like even actually the big one that you might be interested in is the political changes, right? I actually want parliamentary questions and papers to be released 1 week before parliament, right? So everybody on the internet can see what's going to be debated. All the PQs are out, all the papers are out, your COS, everything's out. So that people can say, hey, they're going to debate this next week. Right now, they submit 1 week before the parliament. So when you go, and it creates apathy because you go and see, wow, it's an 8-hour long debate. And then all the speeches are prepared, written by secretary already.
Yeah.
Why don't you just release everything for people to read online first, and then let people debate it, and then when you go to parliament, every side has a better way. There are a lot of dead hours in the parliament, right, where all the MPs go, they don't come back after break, and then there'll be one MP there talking in support of a PAP policy for maybe like 25 minutes. What's the point of all that? Our parliament is actually very due for reform, right? And this is the first step to reform parliament, right? Which is you have to release all these PQs and papers 1 week before the sitting. Let the online community go have their chunk of flesh at it first. Then you see whether or not the PAP MPs, right, are hiding behind secretaries or they really wrote out their thoughts. I think that's a very big one also. And then for me as well, SMC and cap at 3-man SMC lah. 3-man GRC and SMCs only lah. I think 4-man and 5-man.
100%. 100%.
That is
There
all
is no
nonsense.
reason for 4% or
Why?
5%.
Yeah.
Actually, we can have 2%, but you need a constitutional amendment. So even right now, so one of the things that I was frustrated by was when the EBRC released the current slate of GRCs and SMCs, and a lot of reporters were reporting that, the size has reduced. And the size reduced by 0.09, 0.09, not even 0.1. That is not a reduction. That is not a significant reduction. It is technically a reduction. But I completely agree with you. There is no need to have more than 3. After that, all SMCs. But what's your reasoning? Why do you need more SMCs for you?
So that people like me do this, so that we don't hide behind party slogans and
100%. So, and they
just go
don't
wave flag,
hide
do
behind
walk about.
heavyweight ministers, right?
Yeah, you know,
100%.
Hazel Boss says she's going to come out of a GRC to run single. Right? I fully support that because they just basically go there, take crayon, anyhow draw the west. Why?
I fully do not support that. I'll tell you why. Because the
Yeah.
way that interview when she said, right,
Mm.
it was she was responding to Minister Chan Chun Sing. She said
Yeah,
that
I
it
say you
seemed like
tumpang, right?
Chan Chun Sing was
Yeah.
insinuating that. And this is what I would say to Hazel. Hazel, you do not need to play that game, right? Because if that's the case, then okay, Chan Chun Sing should say,
Yeah.
Hazel, let's choose an SMC that is Chan Chun Sing versus Hazel Paul, right? It cannot be
Yeah.
that he is giving the challenge, but then only Hazel is going to an SMC. So I don't think that needs they need to play that game.
No, yeah. So you mentioned a very good point, right? Which is that let me ask you and your viewers a theoretical question. If there are no GRCs or maybe 1 or 3% only, will there be so many mosquito parties? No, right? What's the point of forming a party? Right? I mean,
Oh, you mean there'll be more independent candidates? That's what you're
correct
saying.
one. Then you go out and show your worth, right? I
I
mean,
think so. I think
yeah,
there
I
will
think
be more independent candidates, but also there'll be a lot of parties still, right? You see, like in the UK,
mm,
they have all first past the post system,
yeah.
656. You still have a lot of parties, but you also have a lot of independent candidates. So for sure,
Mm,
I disagree with you on one count. I think there'll still be a lot of smaller parties. I don't want to say mosquito parties, smaller
yeah.
parties.
That's not, no, no, you say it, no, I said it. Bata answer say it.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Mm,
I know. My co-host,
mm,
uh, that, but I also think that there will. You are right on the second count that there will be
mm.
far more independent candidates.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or even then, even if you have a party, you still have to go and fill your guy in SMCs, right? Then
correct,
you
correct. You
really
can
cannot
have
hide.
much smaller
Mm.
parties, much
Yeah,
smaller
yeah,
parties. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Then I mean
Here,
also like I also think about it is like another major one is come on, EBRC needs to be non-partisan. No such thing as a PMO guy inside the EBRC committee lah.
100%.
Yeah,
Hey, we are on board, man. So
yeah,
I'm on board with that. We are in agreement. So
yeah.
there is a comment.
Mm,
It seems like you are ahead of your time. I think
mm,
definitely with some ideas, I definitely agree with you. But
mm.
goes back to what we discussed earlier. Megan is asking, how do you intend to push through these ideas as an independent candidate, though?
I think it's going to start somewhere lah. Okay, I started today. Maybe in the next 5 years we see if the global trade order really starts to restore itself, or it is a case of one rising empire taking over a failing one, right? In the principles of a changing world by Ray Dalio, he discusses this particular aspect, right? Where and it is said lah, right? An empire doesn't exist the moment its debt spending is higher than its cost of its military. So now America is starting that particular path of descent. And if we see that we cannot have the same old free trade agreements, the same old way of life, or recessionary years, I think people will start to ask ourselves, why are we in that situation? Why do we believe that there will be global trade flows, and why do we continue to be on the USD standard? Because don't forget, we defend all our currency by buying US dollar. That gives us a AAA rating. But now we need to start thinking, okay, the US dollar is now like every other civilization that governs and backs its fiat currency with military might. That will eventually come to an end, right? So
So
people,
Jeremy, so I
yeah.
agree with you.
Mm.
My only question is, do you think the government is not thinking about that? I would be shocked if they are not already thinking about.
I have some friends on this live stream right now that they might be in MAS, they might be in CPF, and every time you mention anything like, can we just look around, see what are other options? Can the CPF do better? Can MAS do better? Straight away, no. Director say no, cannot do, right? But why? Okay, why? Okay, because people, we don't want to send out the signal as a small country that we are saying we lose confidence in your dollar, right? Right?
Yeah,
It's important for us in the future
yeah.
agreements. There's one person that was ahead of his time when he thought about this thing, right? And that was Lee Kuan Yew when the sterling was failing. And what did he do? He secretly started buying gold, and then he secretly moved the reserve currencies into US dollar, because at that point in time, pre-Bretton Woods, it was still backed by gold. So what when he did that, right, and then the commissioner from UK come and send him angry. Hey, you cannot do such thing, and he's like, yeah, whatever, right? But he did it because he realized when empires fail, just like the Dutch Empire, just like the British Empire, this particular
So why are you
way of
doubting
life.
that the PAP is thinking that now? If you and I can see that the
Mm,
empire is in decline, surely
mm.
the PAP sees it as well.
We just heard from MOS Alvin Tan in Parliament. Oh, our reserves have no cryptocurrency, has no place in our life.
So,
Temasek
but that
ETFs.
could be posturing as well, right? So, because
Correct lah,
in
possible lah.
diplomacy, there's something that they are saying, but that there could be something else that they are thinking about.
Yeah lah, so you're telling me this, another 5G chess, right? Right. So okay.
I
Then
just saying
why?
this is how they would respond. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
Okay,
know what
then
is.
so then why do you need so much CDC vouchers? Is this an acknowledgement of the system, or is this an acknowledgement of the current state of life in Singapore? Or is it a case whereby you realize that things are going you actually giving out things because you're so successful? And that's how Indrani Raja said we can give out all this money because we were so successful in keeping our fiscal budgets down, but they haven't even returned the money from taken out from the COVID time,
Right.
right? They say,
Right.
hey, you
Right.
all want to talk about re-rating the reserve, but did you return the money from COVID time? And then Lawrence Wong also very systematically said, we no longer think of running structural surpluses, right? So in other words, we don't know what's going on next time. It's essentially this, right? So
Yeah.
we spend a lot of money on the MAS side, right, to go and defend ourselves. Okay, 30 billion last year, if I'm not wrong, right? To go and take out to really combat inflation by defending our dollar, so that we buy eggs cheaper and all those things like that, right? So the question is, how long can MAS do this? What if COVID hits one more time? Like do we realize that if COVID hits one more time, the American dollar is, I would say, is cooked, right? I don't think it can withstand one more shock. And China doesn't want to be a reserve currency. So what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
There's going to be a rise of alternative ways to do things. Either people, you go back to some form of Bitcoin standard or gold standard again. The financial system in the world cannot handle another COVID, because all supply chains and everything is going to be disrupted
Yeah.
again.
And
Yeah.
I think our mental health also cannot handle
Yeah, also cannot.
another good, not just physical, but our mental health. So I am not a fan of Bitcoin, but I must say that you have made some persuasive arguments that I also need to
Mm,
reconsider my positions. And I think I'm not the only one. Amira
mm,
says that she wasn't expecting this, but
mm,
she is very pleasantly surprised and impressed.
mm.
Zoni said that
Thank you.
this conversation is late, professional,
Mm,
and agreeing to disagree. Jeremy, I applaud your courage. So,
mm,
and indeed, I think a few people said that this is very deep. So, I just, a question that, oh, so Sylvia said the most coherent I've ever seen an independent candidate be in Singapore.
mm.
And it's really amazing. I mean, I must say, I am surprised as well, and I'm really impressed. So thank you so much for this. Brian asked,
Mm,
coalition. So let's say now, after this, right? After
mm.
this, and then Dr. Tan somehow is watching Teh Tarik with Walid, right? And then he says, we
Yeah.
need to get this guy. Let's have him in PSP. Or Dr. Chi says, or Prof. Tambaya, right? Who
I thought you
watches.
meant Dr. Tan. I thought you meant Dr. Tan Siling, but okay,
Oh,
never
no,
mind.
no.
So I stay Marine Parade. Yeah.
I had that check box. But who knows? Maybe the PAP wants to co-opt you, right? So let's say Dr. Chi comes and approach you.
Mm.
Would you accept it?
All parties must put my Bitcoin policy inside their policy before I accept their approach. Otherwise, no need. I continue run as independent. It's fine.
Even if Dr. Chi says, okay, I agree with you, but we cannot put it here now because it's only
Mm.
1 week or whatever it is to
Yeah,
nomination day, right? So,
yeah.
but we will fight for this in the long run.
Mm. Uh, if a party comes up and really gives their alternative opinion to inflation, just as the way I have, right, then I will consider. But that is not a surefire thing, because all parties, right, let's be very honest, why I'm running independent. No party wants to tell the Singaporeans to actually stop thinking about HDB as a retirement asset. And that's why I also realized I have to run as an independent, because nobody will take this stance.
No,
right?
you're right, because it'll alienate majority of voters.
Confirm, right? But what we are doing to ourselves, we are hurting the next
I
generation.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It's just unsustainable. And also people who
Mm,
have already have houses like myself,
mm,
we just need to be we just need to think long term and don't just think for ourselves. We need to
mm.
think about other people, right? And just
Correct.
think about future generations and say we take the hit, we
Yeah.
take the hit. And yeah. So
Mm.
I agree with you. It's just that I don't know how politically viable this is. And this is perhaps the value of independent candidates, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to get into political suicide by saying remove HU as retired asset, then what's the point of staying left curve? All the way right curve, let me tell you the solution already. The solution is we need to think about all the tools and technologies that are available to people that are inflation proof. And that's the only one I can think of. Of course, like I said, you don't like Bitcoin, you disagree with Bitcoin, that part of my website you don't click. You just click the housing stuff. You go and take your time looking at the state of government part of my website. You go and browse some inflation as statistics that I put, browse some crimes in it, and take your time there. And then consider where.
Jeremy,
Mm,
I feel like
yeah.
you are someone who is like an intellectual person, an intellectual version of somebody at the coffee shop, right? Because you have all these ideas, but the way you're speaking, right, it's
Mm,
not, you are not desperate for people's votes, right?
yeah.
The way you're speaking, like,
I
like
mean,
you don't like, you click something else. You're not trying to, say, you're
yeah,
not trying to sweeten with whatever, humble
yeah, yeah,
beginnings,
yeah,
whatever it is. The first question, you immediately went to the policies already. So
yeah,
I think for me personally, if you are
yeah,
contented with not winning,
yeah.
I think your ideas would be more viable in the
Mm,
sense that a lot of people would, if you are
mm,
contented with that, because
yeah,
there are some people who contest, and then they also start off just okay, I'm just one, but the moment they smell victory more and more, right,
mm,
then they start to scale back on their ideas and their ambition a little bit.
yeah. So I also think like, what's the point of saying, hey, I must win. If not, I don't share my idea. I mean, everything is like that. So many of the parties are not even sharing their policies. They say we care for you. We will learn how to
Yeah, yeah.
spend money better than the
Platitudes,
PAP.
platitudes, yeah.
It's all bullshit because the PP got grassroots, they got all these social networks, they got all CC, they know what's the on the ground, right? What's the pain point. So for all these people to come out and say they know how to spend money better than BAP, hey hello, come on, BAP is the number one at giving you chicken wing, take back the whole chicken one. Okay, so they will know how to go and distribute money. Right.
Okay, Jeremy, we've gone for 58 minutes, and you know that this question is coming, right? So, what is your stance on Palestine?
So this is your book. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for even having a copy for me when I don't
No,
I came late and all
no
that. So
problem. No problem. Yes.
um I think I'll give both sides of it. First, Jared Kushner tried to do certain things in the region that I think was really overturned with October 7. But if it was up to me, my personal opinion is that Bibi should be in jail. The ICC should really, I think it's right now it's South Africa that take issue to the
Yeah.
courts, right?
With ICJ. Yeah.
Yeah, ICJ, sorry. Um, I think Netanyahu should be in jail, right? I think this is genocide. I think there is no other explanation for it. Ethnic cleansing, genocide is the same thing, all right? He can say how much he wants about that particular situation there, but it's a fact of life that as long as APAC, right, AIPAC, right, as
Yes.
long as they are not required to register as a foreign agent in the US, then all kinds of lobbying by I don't want to say Israeli or Jew, but Zionist intentions will always corrupt America. And by that definition, people also need to think about this. They are using US dollars to support all the different kinds of uh, insurrections in the Middle East, all the
The
conflicts in the
regime change was,
all the
yeah.
regime change, all the USA nonsense, right,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
using US dollars. So you wonder why our inflation is so bad. It's because they are printing the hell out of your purchasing power to go and support all of these stupid things, right? And then
Spoken like a true libertarian.
even you look back further, right, 1963, right, John Kennedy is arguing with Ben Gurion, saying, hey, you all must register as
Yeah.
a entity, if you want to lobby, right? And then what happens to Kennedy?
No, no, no.
Silver bullet lah,
Let's
Harvey
let's
Oswald, right?
let's not go into conspiracy
I
theories,
don't
but
know, wait, independent, huh? Independent, I can say whatever I want. Right? That's the value of independence, huh? Yeah.
the files are being declassified, and we will
No,
need to
but I
go
mean,
to. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a real fact that they had disagreements with Ben Gurion, right?
100%. So
This is
that
not
part is
conspiracy, this
true,
is
and also
historical. Yeah.
we agree, we agree. So I
Mm.
think you know. I mean,
Mm.
you've read my book, or you were there at my book launch, so you know. I think it's an open and shut case of genocide, and all of
Yeah.
these things. We are in agreement, and I think this is again not just on Palestine, but the value of being an independent candidate, right? Like you
Mm.
didn't miss a bit, you immediately said it's a genocide, even if you are sympathetic towards Palestine and you were
Mm.
in a bigger party. You may feel that it's genocide. You may say it in private, but you may not say it publicly.
Yeah.
So I
14 weeks ago.
appreciate that.
Mm.
So Jeremy, who's your
Mm.
favorite PAP
Hong
politician?
Kong.
Who's your favorite opposition politician? Cannot say Louis
Opposition.
Ng. Cannot say
Yeah, no,
Thurman.
no. No, my favorite is Hong Kong because I think his job is very tough. Healthcare is the second biggest spending. I read his entire thing. I really like what he said already. Favorite opposition, I think, is Dr. Paul Tambaya lah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be Pritam Singh, but I think the management of Raisa Khan also kind of shows that recruitment is a very tough challenge for all the parties and managing because you have more parties means more right now a lot of members are actually, you look at the news, a lot of these smaller parties are out there walking, doing their roundabouts, right? A lot of them will have no idea what's going on, but they join a party and just do it. I think that managing your recruitment is a very, very tough thing, and I applaud all the political parties for really trying their best at doing it.
And I applaud you for putting yourself out there. You are a much braver man than I am. And really, I hope a lot of these ideas get traction. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Oh, wait, can I say one last thing?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So if you guys are listening, daily catch up, Yalabat, financial coconut. I sent you guys messages. If you guys
I
want
will
me on,
personally
please.
put in a good word for you
Oh, thank you.
for
Thank you.
daily catch up. Whoever I have,
Mm.
I do think your ideas are serious. We need to take them seriously. So I will help you do that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
All
Jeremy.
right.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye bye.
Bye.